Hi and welcome. My name is Licia and today we are going to be talking about my C-section experience. I am a toddler mom and a NICU mom, so if you want all things family related and motherhood, please go ahead and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. I want to start by saying that my C-section experience is definitely not the norm, but the C-section itself is pretty normal as far as other people, looking at other people's stories, it's kind of the same. But why I had to have a C-section and everything leading up to it was definitely not the ordinary. So what happened is at 24 weeks pregnant, I ended up finding out that I had preeclampsia, and I made a whole video on it, so I will put it here if you guys want to check that video out. But I was 24 weeks with preeclampsia and I was bedridden for 2 weeks, and then I gave birth to my son. The days leading up to me giving birth, my blood platelets were starting to drop and fall. And what this means is basically that I would be at high risk for bleeding out. I wouldn't be able to get epidural. Natural birth would be high risk of bleeding out, hemorrhaging, which I did with my first, so I would even have higher risk. And then the other thing is that it wouldn't be advised to have a C-section with my blood platelets being too low. Anyway, it basically decreased the options that I had for giving birth or ways in which I could, and we didn't want that. So the days leading up to it, I was having trouble with keeping my blood platelets kind of on the higher end. And then the night before I gave birth, my blood pressure spiked and no medication was working. Everything that they were giving me didn't help to lower my blood pressure, and they were really concerned for the baby because he's having to go through all these changes with me, and it was just really high. And so with that being said, they ended up taking me to labor and delivery that night and putting me on MAG, and MAG is basically magnesium. It is the worst feeling ever. It is like having the flu. You get really hot, you feel sick. I threw up on it, so it's not a fun experience, but you have to be on it, and 90%, if not 100% of preeclampsia people end up having to do MAG either in the beginning or at the end of their pregnancy. And so I was on MAG, and they started that drip because I had to be on it during my pregnancy because pregnancy is high stress already, and I'm already having high blood pressure issues. So while I was on MAG throughout the night and that morning, the next morning we decided that we're gonna start trying to induce because of the fact that my body just wasn't having it, and we didn't want to put the baby at any risk. So they started to do this pill, and it's a dissolvable pill that goes in your yoni, and they kind of just sit it in there. It dissolves, and it's supposed to induce you. It's supposed to put you into labor. And I think we did 4 pills we did 1 pill every 4 hours. So after the 3rd or 4th pill, I was having contractions. It was forcing me to have contractions, and it didn't feel great. And so after the 3rd or 4th one, I was like, my body is not doing this. I'm not gonna have him natural. So I called the doctor in and I asked them, I was like, are we able to do a C-section? Is that an option? And she said yes, but at the same time that she had said yes, she also said, it's funny that I had asked because they were coming to tell me, because I was hooked up to everything, and so was the baby. He was being monitored along with, me going through being induced. And so she said it was funny that I had asked because his heart rate was starting to drop, and we had to immediately do an emergency C-section. Once his heart rate started to drop, that was really it. And within 30 minutes, I feel like it went so quick, because within 30 minutes I was going into the surgery room and it was happening. So When I finally was getting ready for the C-section, first off, they have you sign paperwork to say, hey, I'm okay with having a C-section, whatever. Then the second thing they do is they dress you up. So like I had to have a hair bonnet, and then my husband had to be dressed from head to toe in like a blue outfit, and he had a hair bonnet. And I'll just put a picture in of what we looked like. And then from there, I was wheeled to the surgery room, and in the surgery room, it is freezing, like super, super, super cold. I remember shaking so much, and I don't know if that's because it was cold. I mean, I was definitely so super nervous and just worried about everything at that point, but I don't know what it was, but I was shaking so uncontrollably, and it was just crazy. So what they did was they basically put me on the table to like face up, like sit up straight, and then they had a nurse or doctor right in front of me, and I had to like hold on to the nurse, and then the doctor put in the anesthetic in my back, kind of like an epidural, but I don't think it was an epidural. Honestly, not sure what it was called, but they put it in and they shoot it up your spine, and it is very cold. It hurts. It hurt a lot. So I had to do that and have them as support. And then as soon as that was done, they laid me on the table. I had to be in like a cross shape. And then my husband had to hold my arms down. My husband was just there, you know, talking to me, comforting me through the whole process, and they started numbing the area that they were going to be cutting, and they would like poke it. There was an area on my right side that wasn't getting fully numb. Like I could feel when they were doing things, like I could feel the sharpness of the knife or, you know, the incision tool, but it didn't hurt. It just was like, I don't know how to explain it other than like if you drag your nail across your arm, that's what it feels like. It just feels like you can feel that it's cutting you, but you don't feel how bad it would be if you weren't on numbing medication, I guess. So anyway, that's what they did. And from there, they ended up taking him out not much long after, and he came out crying, which was a great sign. But for me, because he was 26 weeks old when he was born and over 3 months early, I wasn't able to see him at all. Like my husband saw him getting taken out, but they didn't put him on me. They didn't let me see him or anything. They immediately took him, put him in the NICU area, and then did their thing and took him off. So it was a lot, to say the least, because I couldn't see my baby. I heard him crying, and which was a great sign, you know, to know that he was alive and he was kind of okay in the sense, considering the conditions. But yeah, I wasn't able to see him until really like the next morning. A couple hours after, I was able to go see him in the NICU. But it was a lot. It was an interesting experience, and 24 hours after giving birth, I had to stay on the magnesium drip. That was my C-section experience. It definitely wasn't fun, and there were so many moving parts, so many things going on prior to having the C-section, and just overall very scary. But if it is a planned C-section, I'm sure it will be a lot better. I'm going to create another video on my C-section recovery and tips that I kind of accumulated as I was going through my C-section recovery. I am 2.5 months postpartum currently, and my son Elijah is still not home, but hopefully he's going to be home soon. So if you guys want to follow our journey and stay up to date with what's happening, please go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.